Hey everyone, Chris Haupt here, Online Sports and Brain Pipers Amazon agency. I'm starting a challenge from Luke Carter. He has a Brave Brand course where I took his course back in February and March, and great course. He's super invested in the success of you as a personal brand builder, helps you get over your fear of posting, your fear of being in front of the camera, and trying to help you build your personal brand so that can be successful and have life on your own terms. He brings so much value to the course, and part of what we do in the course is we have a weekly Q&A, and in the Q&A tonight, he raised the challenge, the Fuck Perfectionism Challenge, which means the challenge is talk for 10 minutes and no editing allowed, and post on YouTube. So I am accepting the challenge, and we'll be doing this every day for the coming weeks in December. It's supposed, as with anything, the more you post, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. And I know I need a lot of work in that area, so that's why I'm here. We are an Amazon seller. That's been our business for the last, well, we actually opened our business back in 1995. We are the first e-commerce sporting goods shop, onlinesports.com. We evolved as the internet evolved with Amazon taking over, or at least dominating for quite a few years. So my topic for today is, can you survive as an Amazon reseller? There was I was bombarded with gurus, so-called gurus, that were selling their Amazon courses, how to succeed on Amazon. And I found one program that he was giving away some free content as part of the program. So I just watched part of it. And he said that there are 3 types of Amazon selling opportunities. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. So the first one, the 3 opportunities are retail arbitrage, wholesaling, and private labeling. So I want to go through those 3 types of options. The first one, retail arbitrage. What is that? So retail arbitrage is something that was fairly common in the early days of Amazon. It was the kind of the flea market approach. You would go, if you were a seller, and some of this still happens in the book selling area, and is still respected in the book selling area. You go to Walmart, you go to dollar store, some of these thrift shops, flea markets. You go and you find products that are undervalued, that you can use tools to define whether, or decide whether this is being sold on Amazon or not. And if it is being sold, is there opportunity for margin to be made? Because maybe you found an undervalued product for $2 that is being sold for $30 on Amazon. That's kind of the example, sometimes stuffed animals and things like that. So what's happening is, so the advice was retail arbitrage is a good idea. Arbitrage meaning you're making the difference between what you're able to buy it for and what you're able to sell it for on Amazon, even after all the fees like the 15% commission. The reason that's really a bad idea right now for normal sellers is the Amazon, in a lot of cases, a brand can go to Amazon and say, I don't recognize this product. I think it's counterfeit. So you buy the product, you sell it, the brand comes back and says, this looks like counterfeit to me. Amazon will go back to you as the seller and say, provide an invoice showing that you bought this legitimately. And here's the catch. A valid invoice is not a receipt from Walmart or a receipt from Dollar Goods or a handwritten receipt from the guy you bought it from at the flea market. And the reason that is not valid is because it very well, especially the flea market, it very well could be counterfeit product. And so all of a sudden you as a seller could be in hot water for selling something that Amazon or the brand has gone to Amazon and said this could be counterfeit, and now you have no way to prove that it's not counterfeit. So bad idea. It's frowned upon on Amazon now. You could get at the very minimum, your product could get delisted, product page could get turned off. At worst, you as a seller could get turned off. You could have your whole account turned off. And Amazon really, if you get an account turned off, that's bad news, because it's hard to get a new account set up, because they will look at your bank account information, they'll look at your name, they'll look at your IP address, and if they think you're trying to skirt and get in a new account set up, that's just not going to be successful. And so retail arbitrage, stay away from it. Terrible advice from this guy who's got 400,000 followers on YouTube. And so just be careful. Gurus are not always gurus, and they can give you bad advice. Second form of selling on Amazon is wholesaling. This is a legitimate, respected way of doing business. You talk to the brand, get set up as a reseller. They sell you legitimate product. You're paying wholesale pricing. On paper, it sounds great, and it worked for a long time on Amazon. But that model, if you are one of multiple resellers on a given product, that model with Amazon's fees right now just doesn't really work anymore. And this is the model that we've been using for the last few years, and this is an area where we are having to adjust and make new business plans, because that model very quickly is no longer viable on Amazon, where you are one of multiple resellers. There are other models within the wholesaling umbrella that still work, and I'll talk a little bit about those. The reason it doesn't work is manyfold. One is Amazon has too many fees now. There's the commission, which is typically 15% for most categories, just for the right of selling on Amazon. If you're selling an FBA, that can range anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 to 25, 30% that Amazon could be taking to fulfill your product. And again, it depends on the product, depends on how large it is, depends on a lot of things. There's shipping fees to get it to FBA. There's the return rate. We're seeing return rates going up and up every year. It started off at 2-3%. We're now seeing 5-7-8% return rates. On some products, we're seeing 15-20%. That's not viable, because when you get a return from Amazon doesn't return the FBA fees they use to pick and pack the item. They will return your commission. However, they will keep 20% of the commission, just because they're Amazon and they can do it, up to $5. So if your item is several $100s, they'll keep $5, but still they're keeping, on smaller priced items, they're keeping 20% of the commission that they paid out. That's 20% that you're not going to get back. Then you have to do something with the return. You might have to do a removal order, which then costs money. And Amazon used to charge 50 cents per removal. Now they're charging minimum $1 per item, but it depends on the weights and dimensions of the item. So getting the item back is going to be an expensive proposition. So there's all these fees. So that is that's not even to mention what we call the buy box issue. So the buy box issue is if there's 5 people selling, if there's 5 retailers selling an item on the same product page, and we all have the same price, the same lead time, the same health metrics on our account, you would think that we would get 20% of the orders. Well, what we're finding is, and this has really hurt us pretty badly over the last year, is that you may not get any orders. Sometimes a certain retailer will dominate, and Amazon will not tell you why you're not getting orders. We have a wholesale score of a perfect 1,000. That's the best you can get. We are an honest seller. We don't do anything black hat. And for some reason, on certain products and many products across many different categories, we're getting very little of the buy box. And so that means you're just not eligible. Sorry, let me turn this off. that was my 10-minute timer. So I've hit my 10-minute mark. Where was I? So yeah, you're not getting your fair share of the buy box. So that's an unsustainable model, because what's happened for us with a lot of products is we will order something, sell through, see what the sales rate was, and then go to reorder, and then all of a sudden we're not getting our share of the buy box anymore. And so then you're sitting on inventory, you're paying storage fees, you're paying long-term storage fees, which happens after 6 months. They call them aged inventory storage fees now. Excuse me. And so that just makes it really hard to predict. And you end up sitting on products and start racking up storage fees. It just becomes a big problem. The third model is private label, creation of your own brand, or managing a brand as a wholesaler for other brands. And so the wholesale model can work. I said it can't work, but it can't work when there's multiple sellers on the product. If you are given exclusivity, which we've been given for some products, or we are getting paid to manage the product, so then that's not really straight up wholesale anymore. You're getting advertising money, you're getting a monthly fee. There's a lot of ways that this can happen. And so in that situation, it feels like the wholesale model, but it really is now a new situation where you're managing the account for the brand. And so that's the wholesale model with some caveats or some benefits. Then the third way to make money on Amazon, and is the most viable model going forward, is private label creation. So you're basically finding a product that you want to create yourself. You go to China or offshore or US, I guess even, and you get the product manufactured. You have to build the brand, you have to do the advertising. The trick here is, or the reason this can work is, you now have wholesale, where you have now brand level margins. So in the wholesale model, you're typically only going to get 40% margins, 50% margins, 40% margins. And that's why that doesn't work, because you give 15% to Amazon for commission, you give 15% for FBA fees, you're at 30% right there. You got to pay to get it to Amazon. And then returns, you could eat up all your margin, and this is even before you start advertising the product. So that's the wholesale model, why that doesn't work anymore. The reason the private labeling can work is you might have 60, 70, 80% margin to work with. So you have room to play with. So all those fees, you can still manage those fees. You still have room for advertising. You still have room for creator connections, which we'll talk about in another video. There's just a lot of opportunities for building your brand and managing it and being successful. So those are the three models. I've got a lot more to talk about with each of those models and sort of what's happening on Amazon, and I will get back to you with my post tomorrow. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for Luke and the folks at Brave Brand for being brave, taking on a challenge like this, and I look forward to growing with you. If you're an Amazon seller or looking to become an Amazon seller, we've been doing this for many years now. We started on Amazon back in 1999 when they had what was called Z Shops. So we've been around the block. We know what works and what doesn't. We don't always evolve as quickly as we should, but we've got a lot of ideas and lots of programs, and we'd be happy to have a call with you. Looking to have some calls with some potential Amazon sellers. So we will see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye.